In my over 2 decades of healthcare service, spanning both nursing homes and hospitals, I've borne witness to phenomena that defy rational explanation. But nowhere have these experiences been more profound than at the small, 30-bed hospital where I currently work. This place, rich in history and saturated with the tales of the unexplained, harbors an atmosphere thick with anticipation of the unknown. Among these tales, the most unsettling is perhaps that of the figure in black, a spectral harbinger of death seen fleeting down corridors before the quietus of some poor soul. Our hospital, though modest in size, is infamous for its peculiar nocturnal occurrences. The most routine of these is the inexplicable operation of the sole elevator connecting the dimly lit basement, home to the long-abandoned morgue, to the main floor adjacent to the nurse's station. Like clockwork, in the dead of night, this elevator stirs to life, its doors parting to reveal no passenger, an omen of the grim discovery soon to be made by the staff. Each occurrence, without fail, presages the passing of a patient, casting a somber pall over our duties. One particular night, amidst the solemn vigil of our routine, the silence was shattered by the intrusive blare of television at full volume emanating from down the hall. Accompanied by a coworker, we set forth to locate and silence the source, expecting to encounter perhaps a patient in distress or an electronic malfunction. Our search, methodical and thorough, eventually led us to a corridor culminating on a door plastered with "Do Not Enter" signs. A forbidden room under the guardianship of maintenance and off limits to the staff. With every step forward towards the door, our hearts pounded against our chest, a symphony of dread harmonizing with the eerie silence of the corridor. The door loomed before us, a gateway to the unknown, its presence suffocating as if the very air around it was heavy with foreboding. Our hands, trembling with fear and duty, pushed the door open, revealing a scene that chilled us to our cores. The room lay in oppressive silence, its emptiness almost tangible, broken only by the ghostly glow of a television set. Its lights flickered, casting unsettling shadows that danced along the barren walls, as if mocking our intrusion. The atmosphere was thick, charged with an unseen tension that wrapped around our throats, suffocating, relentless. A primal fear gripped us, the kind that whispers of dangers lurking just beyond the veil of reality. I took a hesitant step forward, my voice barely a whisper, betraying the terror that had ensnared my heart.
Stop that. There is a sick baby next door who needs to sleep, so please be quiet.
The words tumbled out, a plea to the emptiness, a feeble attempt to assert some semblance of control in a situation spiraling into the inexplicable. As I tried to silence the television, my hand shook uncontrollably, the simple act of feeling like an impossible feat. The moment the room plunged into darkness, a suffocating stillness enveloped us. We backed away, the urge to flee nearly overwhelming. But duty anchored us to the spot. With one last glance at the mocking shadows, we sealed the room, a silent agreement to leave its mysteries untouched, its secrets unspoken. Yet as we retreated, the echo of our racing hearts followed us, a haunting reminder of the terror that lurked within those walls, unseen, but deeply felt. As we retraced our steps back to the safety of our posts, the once familiar corridor seemed to stretch into an endless void, its silence not comforting but suffocating, as if the very walls were complicit in the night's eerie events. With each step, the weight of what we had just encountered pressed down upon us, a chilling realization that this incident would forever haunt the recesses of our minds. Now eerily silent and without further anomalies, the occurrence wove itself into the complex fabrics of mysteries that shroud our hospital. It became a whispered specter among the staff, a chilling tale that would simmer in the undercurrents of our conversations, a stark reminder of the unknown that lurks within these walls. This new legend, birthed from a moment of unexplained terror, added another layer to the lore of our hallowed halls. We couldn't shake off the creeping dread that had taken residence in our hearts among the footsteps, echoes, and the ghostly silence. The hospital, a place of healing, now felt imbued with a sinister presence. Each shadow and flicker of light a potential harbinger of the unseen and the unfathomable. Reflecting upon these experiences, I ponder the nature of our existence and the unseen forces that we weave through our reality. In this place, where life and death dance in such close quarters, it's not hard to believe the echoes of the past linger, resonating in the silent halls of this historic hospital. Perhaps, in our dedication to caring for both the living and the dead, we share these corridors with more than just our human companions, and maybe, just maybe, there's comfort in knowing that we're never truly alone in our vigil. The final gathering. In the dimly lit corridors of a healthcare facility, where the air was always tinged with the scent of antiseptics and the unseen weight of countless farewells, I found myself assigned to the care of an elderly man. His years had climbed into the late 80s, and his body was a testament to a life soon to conclude, marked for a transition to home hospice care. Among the patients under my watch, he was unique, not just for his age or condition, but for the forgetfulness that clouded his mind, necessitating surveillance through a portable video monitor. The tranquility of the first night with him gave way to an unrest on the second. As I made my rounds to do vitals, I found him mumbling and twitching in his sleep, behaviors absent just the night before. Stirring him gently, I inquired about his dreams, to which he replied with a smile, recounting tales of youthful escapades with friends, of bars and laughter, and the reckless abandon of his life's prime. It was a vivid recollection, one that seemed to reignite the spark in his weary eyes momentarily. I left him with a light heart, believing him to revel in the warmth of cherished memories. However, the night was far from over. Called away with a coworker to assist another patient, I returned to a scene of chaos. My colleagues, seasoned nurses among them, were engulfed in a frenzy of fear and confusion. They beckoned me to the monitor displaying the patient's room, where I was confronted with a sight that defied reason. The screen showed the patient's room aglow, illuminated not by earthly light but by countless orbs, darting across space like celestial bodies in a miniature galaxy. These orbs, they explained, appeared and vanished with a rhythmic mystery, an ethereal dance that ceased only when human presence intruded, only to resume once we retreated. The entire scene unfolded with an otherworldly grace that left us spellbound and unnerved in equal measure. The orbs, with their ethereal glow and unpredictable movements, defied all logical explanations, casting a spell of wonder and dread over everyone who witnessed their display. Their presence filled the room with an energy that was as captivating as it was chilling, a spectacle that transcended the ordinary into the realm of the extraordinary. Yet, as abruptly as they had appeared, they vanished, plunging the room back into a tense hush, thick with the echoes of what had just occurred. Amidst this charged silence, the patient stirred, his actions imbued with an energy that seemed out of place with his frail condition. As I neared him, curiosity and apprehension warring within me. His intentions became clear, yet they did nothing to alleviate the sense of unease that had taken hold. He pointed toward an unseen gathering in the corner of the room, his eyes alight with a mix of joy and conviction that was profoundly disturbing in its intensity.
"My friends are here,"
he proclaimed, his voice imbued with the calm that belied the surrealness of his claim.
"They want to play cards with me."
The color leached from my coworker's face, her expression mirroring the fear that clutched my heart. Struggling to maintain a veneer of composure, I gently persuaded him back to bed, my assurances of future card games barely masking the tremor in my voice. The encounter left us in shock and awe, our minds grappling with the reality of what we had just experienced. The juxtaposition of the patient's peaceful acceptance against our own visceral fear underscored the profound mystery that enveloped the moment, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the known from the unknown. Though it filled my coworkers with dread, the encounter struck me with a different chord. I found a peculiar comfort in the idea that his friends, spectral as they may have been, had come to usher him through the threshold of this world to the next. This notion seemed to terrify others, but to me, it whispered of a reunion, of bonds that transcended the limits of life and death. Yet, as I reflect on that night amidst the silent halls and the quiet work that fills our days and nights, I cannot shake the lingering creeping sense of unease. For in the dance of those orbs, In the patient's calm acceptance of his unseen visitors, there lay a truth too vast and too strange to comprehend fully. It was a reminder that beyond the veil of our understanding, mysteries dwell in the shadows, watching, waiting, and sometimes reaching out to remind us of their presence. Shadows over the ward. In 2004, my father suffered a severe stroke that left him unconscious for 2 weeks and confined to a hospital ward for nearly 3 months. Our financial situation at the time meant he couldn't have a private room, so he was placed in a ward that housed up to 7 other patients, although typically it was 3 to 4. Among them was a man in his mid to late 60s, directly across from my father. He was a kind soul, often visited by his children and grandchildren, a small comfort in the sterile, buzzing environment of the hospital. One day, after a brief lunch break, I returned to find my father sleeping peacefully. The TV droned on, offering nothing of interest. I let my gaze wander, eventually fixing on the elderly patient across the room. He, too, had visitors that day. His family gathered around him in a semicircle of love and laughter. As I zoned out, my eyes noticed something peculiar floating above the man. 3 shadowy figures, cloaked and devoid of hands or feet, swirled in a haunting dance. They seemed to be entering and exiting an unseen portal, their movements fluid yet disturbingly unnatural. Abruptly, one of the shadowy entities severed its dance with the others, propelling itself toward me with an eerie, silent determination that seemed laden with sinister intent. My heart thrashed violently against my ribcage, terror gripping me as I shrank back into my chair, powerless, as it hovered menacingly close to my face. Its presence was suffocating, the air around it thick with an ominous energy. And then, as abruptly as it had invaded my space, it retreated, rejoining its dark brethren. Together, they vanished through the wall as if it were mere vapor, leaving a cold emptiness in their wake. A primal fear, cold and sharp, pierced through me, an unshakable hunch that the elderly patient was now trapped by death's shadow. That very evening, he began to voice complaints of stomach pains, his condition plummeting unexpectedly. By the following morning, he had been isolated in a private room under the guise of diligent care. The subsequent day brought a heart-rending scene outside his room. His daughter overwhelmed by sorrow, her eyes brimming with tears.
My father died today.
She wept into the void of the corridor.
He was fine, and then, all at once, he wasn't.
Her anguish hung heavily in the air, a testament to the cruel, swift hand of fate that had claimed her father. I found myself trapped in a relentless internal battle, debating whether to voice the chilling encounter that had so deeply disturbed me, or to encase it within the walls of my own psyche. Opting for silence, I couldn't bear the thought of imposing the terrifying vision of those spectral entities upon her already heavy heart. Yet, the eerie imprint of what I witnessed lingers with me, a constant shadow trailing my every step. Were those sinister figures truly the ominous heralds of the afterlife, arriving to escort the elderly man to his final rest? Or had my mind, frayed and warped by the relentless stress of my father's precarious health, birthed these phantoms from the depths of my own anxiety? The memory of their silent, menacing dance through the air torments me, a haunting question that gnaws at the fringes of my sanity, leaving me ensnared in a web of fear and bewilderment. Shadows over the ward remains a memory etched in fear and mystery, a reminder of the thin veil between life and death. The experience has left me with more questions than answers, a haunting uncertainty about what lies beyond the world we see. As we draw the curtains on today's journey through the shadowed corridors of mystery and the unexplained, I hope the tales we've traversed have left you with a sense of wonder and perhaps a shiver down your spine. The stories we share are but a glimpse into the vast unknown that surrounds us, a reminder that the world is filled with more mysteries than we can ever hope to understand. But our exploration does not end here. The essence of Corridors of the Departed thrives on the experiences and tales that you, our listeners, bring into the light. Each story, each encounter, adds another layer to our understanding of the paranormal and the unseen forces that weave through the fabric of our reality. So, I invite you to not just be listeners, but to become part of the narrative. Share your own encounters with the unknown, the eerie experiences that have touched your lives, and the tales whispered in your families. Send us your stories, for it is through sharing these glimpses into the unexplained that we connect, learn, and perhaps find solace in knowing we're not alone in our experiences. Subscribe to Novella Nightmares on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. Please like to help the algorithm. Together, let's continue to peel back the veil, exploring the mysteries that linger in the shadows of our world. Remember, the unknown is only a story away. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind curious. Who knows what mysteries await in the silent halls of our next encounter?